Welcome to Spilling the TSA. I'm your host, Bianca, and today we're serving boiling hot truth with a side of facts because I am a South African who is done with the disinformation circus surrounding this country. People overseas twist South Africa into a political prop, a pity party, and it's only getting worse since South Africa took Israel to the International Court of Justice. Suddenly, the US political right got obsessed with the idea that white South Africans are being hunted, persecuted, and genocided. Now, this story has been coming for years now. There's always been a white genocide and white farm attacks, even though the facts don't speak to the narratives. And you can pick a buzzword because if it fits in with their story, they've got no problem with telling a very distorted story, even though it is not fact-checked. And just like that, America rolls out a fast-track refugee pathway for South Africans. They highlight, white Afrikaners, but they also indicate it's also for minorities. And it's not because they suddenly love us, but because the narrative became politically useful. Let's be honest, this pathway wasn't launched because of verified persecution claims. The data does not speak to this. It was launched because activists, lobbyists, and certain US commentators, one of which we will cover in this program, pushed a story that suited their foreign policy goals. Discredit South Africa at the ICJ. Easy. Paint South Africa as a chaos zone collapsing into genocide. Even easier. And into that political climate, a dramatic, emotional refugee story is gold. Enter Tia Van Straten. So when Tia Van Straten appears on Chris Wyatt's channel and makes the following claims.
It's not safe. I mean, I've survived 4 attacks.
You're a farmer?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of farmer?
We've got a guest farm.
Okay.
And we also have cattle. We've turned into a spontaneous rescue center. So
okay.
We've got some horses and donkeys and goats and.
So it's a menagerie.
Mm.
But you've had 4 farm attacks.
Yes.
So according to Chris, Tia was the first refugee to put her feet on American soil. She got, in Chris's words, Willy Wonka's golden ticket. And of course, she had such a convenient story, so inspiring. I mean, you must see the comment section in Chris Wyatt's YouTube videos. Wow. She arrives armed with the perfect script. She's a farm owner, a farmer, and he makes sure he mentions it. She survived 4 farm attacks. She fled South Africa all on her little lonesome, just with her suitcase, a little bit of money, and she had just put her farm in the market because, she just wanted to get out of South Africa. And of course, she also indicates that America does the best background checks. Well, maybe not. So she is obviously an awesome example of a refugee, and you could see in the comment section everyone's hearts bled for this poor woman that survived 4 farm attacks, and Chris Wyatt was there to support her. But let's get to the real story. Let's start with the claims that she made. Claim number 1, Tia Van Straten owned a farm. Really? Let's start with that lie. Okay. Whose farm was it really? Wasn't Tia Van Straten's farm. And yes, there was a farm, and yes, it was a guest farm in the Free State. Definitely not hers. She wasn't the owner. She wasn't on the deed. She wasn't the farmer. But, saying my husband bought a property doesn't hit the same emotional tone as I'm a persecuted farmer fleeing danger. So she simply upgraded her role. Claim number 2 from Tia Van Straten. 4 farm attacks. 4. Okay. One of them even happened on the day that she went for her interview at the the embassy. I mean, shocking, hey? So let's take a look. So if this was true, she wouldn't be applying for refugee status. I can tell you that. Hollywood would be offering her a franchise. But here's what exists. No police dockets, no community alerts, no emergency call-outs, no neighbor confirmations, no laborer confirmations, and no public records. 4 attacks, 0 evidence. That's not persecution, that's imagination. Claim number 3. I escaped South Africa alone. Now, this one is wild. I mean, so she paints this heartbreaking picture of a lone woman fleeing with nothing but courage and luggage. Okay? Except she's not alone. She left her husband behind. Yes, Tia Van Straten is married, and she left her husband behind in the so-called war zone. I mean, why didn't she mention him? Did it not fit the narrative? Why didn't Chris Wyatt mention him? That would be very interesting. It's giving omission by convenience. Oh, and then there is the claim. No need to do background checks. The US does amazing background checks. In fact, she says, who better than the mighty US to do a background check? Well, I don't think they did any background checks because she delivered that one-liner. And I don't know if they actually did and they checked if she was married, because I don't know, you're just leaving your spouse and you are off to the US without your spouse. Exactly, Tia. The US is in a great position to do background checks, but however, a lot of you are so fast-tracked, and you're not the only refugee with more holes in your story than there is story. Because if they had done a background check, they would have noticed you don't own a farm. There's no recorded attacks. In fact, not of your neighbors, not of your, from the laborers, not police dockets. You've got a shaky timeline and you've got a spouse that you left behind. So something's telling me that the US is not doing background checks like they should be doing. So if they decide to do a background check, they'll probably disprove your entire narrative. And then we have Chris Wyatt, Colonel Chris Wyatt, extreme Trump fan, great Republican, fighter of misinformation. I call him Delaray from Timu because there's a group of white Afrikaners that actually think this man is God to them. They don't check anything he says, and I've heard how he speaks to some of them. He's an arrogant ass as far as I'm concerned, but anyway, their Delaray from Timu can just do nothing wrong. He's, of course, a self-proclaimed expert on South Africa, patriotic American, the man who loves to warn his audience about misinformation and fake news and don't listen to mainstream media. He's an independent journalist. Yet when Tia sat in front of him and she was spinning a total false tale, he didn't ask any questions. He didn't check a single thing. Not the farm, not the attacks, not the timeline, not the missing spouse, no documents, no follow-ups. For someone who despises fake news, Chris sure knows how to platform it. So why did Tia's story blow up? Because it was true? No. It blew up because it was useful. Useful to people trying to undermine South Africa, people like Chris Wyatt and other right-wing pundits. Useful to people angry that we challenged Israel at the ICJ. Useful to people who want a narrative of persecuted white refugees to justify their own agendas. So put it all together, and you get this, a farm Tia Van Straten doesn't own, 4 attacks that never happened, or there is no evidence whatsoever of that. A dramatic escape, but you leave an entire husband in South Africa. A background check brag, which obviously we know now when we look at Tia Van Straten's story, the US is not necessarily the best, I would say, intelligence on this. And Chris Wyatt, who didn't do a shred of due diligence. It's giving CSI. Chris should investigate. Or my personal favorites, unsolved mysteries, because literally nothing is real. This has been Spilling the TSA, and if you're tired of disinformation, tired of drama masquerading as fact, and tired of people using South Africa for political theatre, you're in the right place. Hit like, subscribe, share this video, and please remember to set the notification bell so you never miss the next cup of hot, factual South African tea. Trust me, I'm not finished with the story. There is much more to come.
Okay, let's go.